Welcome 2007 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like a fantasy designed to fool hopeful treasure hunters, but what I'm about to show you might completely change the way you look at every single coin you touch. Today, we're diving deep into a coin so ordinary, so easily overlooked, that millions of people have probably spent it without a second thought, and yet, hidden among them is a version that has been valued at an astonishing $7 million. Yes, we're talking about the 2007 1 cent coin, a simple penny from the Philadelphia Mint that could be worth more than a luxury mansion, and by the end of this video, you might start checking every jar, every drawer, and every forgotten corner of your home because one tiny detail could turn your life upside down forever, and trust me, you'll want to stay until the very end because the next coin we'll talk about later in this series has a mystery so bizarre that even seasoned collectors can't agree on its true origin. Now let's uncover why this 2007 penny has shocked the collecting world and how something so common became so unbelievably valuable, because at first glance, there is absolutely nothing special about it. It carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the same copper-plated zinc composition introduced decades earlier, and it was produced in massive quantities, billions in fact, meaning that statistically, it should be one of the least valuable coins out there, but hidden within this ocean of ordinary pennies lies an incredibly rare anomaly that has turned a few lucky finds into legendary stories whispered among collectors, and that anomaly begins with a minting error so subtle that most people would never notice it unless they knew exactly what to look for, and this is where things start to get fascinating because in 2007, the Philadelphia Mint was operating at full capacity, producing coins at high speed to meet national demand, and during this process, even the smallest misalignment, the tiniest variation in pressure, or an unnoticed flaw in a die could create a coin that defied all expectations, and one such error believed to exist in extremely limited numbers is what collectors now refer to as a multi-layered die shift anomaly, a rare occurrence where the design was struck multiple times at slightly different angles, creating a ghost-like doubling effect that is almost hypnotic when viewed under magnification, and if you're thinking that sounds like a minor defect, here's the twist. The more dramatic and unusual the error, the more collectors crave it, and in this case, the visual distortion combined with near-perfect preservation has led to jaw-dropping valuations, with one rumored specimen being appraised close to $7 million in private collector circles, and while public auction records for this exact coin remain scarce, insiders suggest that elite collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums for coins that represent once-in-a lifetime minting accidents, and this is exactly what fuels the mystery and excitement surrounding the 2007 1 cent, because unlike famous rare coins that are locked away in museums, this one could still be out there, circulating unnoticed, hiding in plain sight, possibly even in your possession right now. And that idea alone is enough to send chills down the spine of anyone who's ever casually handed over a penny without thinking twice, and here's where the story becomes even more compelling. There have been scattered reports from everyday people who stumbled upon unusual 2007 pennies while sorting through spare change, noticing strange doubling in the lettering or an odd shimmer in Lincoln's profile, only to later discover that what they had found was not just a damaged coin, but potentially a rare mint error worth a fortune, and imagine that moment. The realization that something you almost ignored could change your financial future forever, it's the kind of discovery that transforms ordinary people into legends overnight. And this is why collectors are obsessed with coins like this, not just because of their value, but because of the thrill of the hunt, the possibility that the next great discovery hasn't been found yet. And speaking of discoveries, you'll definitely want to keep watching because the next coin we'll explore later has an origin story that involves a mistake so shocking it was nearly covered up, and you won't believe how it ended up in circulation. But before we get there, let's go even deeper into what makes this 2007 penny so, beyond the well-known error varieties. Experts believe there may also be a handful of experimental planchets involved, meaning that some of these coins could have been struck on metal blanks not intended for standard pennies, resulting in slight differences in weight, color, or magnetic properties. And if verified, these variations could push values even higher, turning an already rare coin into an almost mythical artifact. And this is where things get truly exciting for collectors because the line between fact and legend begins to blur. Stories circulate of coins being quietly sold between private buyers for staggering amounts, never officially recorded, adding to the mystique and driving demand even further. And let's not forget the psychological factor. The idea that something so small and seemingly insignificant can hold such immense value taps into a universal fascination with hidden treasure. It's the modern-day equivalent of finding gold in your backyard, except this treasure fits in the palm of your hand and could have been sitting unnoticed for years. And as more people become aware of these possibilities, the hunt intensifies, with collectors examining rolls of pennies, bank tellers keeping an eye out for unusual pieces, and hobbyists investing in magnifying tools just to catch a glimpse of that one extraordinary detail. And if you're wondering whether you should start checking your own coins, the answer is absolutely yes, because the odds may be slim, but they are not zero. And every major discovery in coin collecting history began with someone taking a closer look at something others ignored. And remember, the next coin we'll dive into doesn't just challenge what we know about minting errors, it completely redefines it. So don't go anywhere because what's coming next might make this $7 million penny seem almost ordinary by comparison, and that's saying something. Because as unbelievable as it sounds, the world of rare coins is full of surprises, and the deeper you go, the more you realize that history, chance, and human error can combine to create treasures beyond imagination. And if you thought this 2007 1 cent was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1976 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds unbelievable, almost like something out of a movie, but hidden among billions of ordinary coins is one tiny piece of copper that has stunned collectors and rewritten lives. Today, we're diving into the mysterious world of the 1976 1 cent coin. A coin so deceptively simple that most people wouldn't even glance at it twice. But here's the shocking part: under the right conditions, with the right rare features, this single penny has been whispered about in collector circles with a staggering value reaching up to $76 million. Yes, you heard that right. A coin you might have tossed into a jar could actually be worth more than luxury mansions, private jets, and lifetime fortunes combined. And before you think this is just another exaggerated myth, stay with me, because what you're about to learn could completely change. Next, 2013 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds like something out of a movie, right? But what I'm about to reveal might completely change the way you look at every coin you touch. Today, we're diving into a coin so ordinary, so easy to overlook, that millions of people have probably spent it without a second thought, and yet, hidden among them could be one single piece worth an astonishing $13 million. Yes, you heard that right. a 2013 1-cent coin that could be worth more than a luxury mansion, more than a fleet of supercars, more than most people will ever earn in a lifetime, and the craziest part is, it doesn't even look special at first glance. Now here's where things get truly unbelievable. Collectors have estimated that under extremely rare conditions, this coin could fetch up to $13 million in the right auction setting, depending on its unique errors, condition, and mint anomalies. And before you brush this off as just another exaggeration, stay with me. Because later in this video I'm going to reveal the exact tiny details that separate a 1-cent coin from a multi-million-dollar treasure, and trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next, especially because the next coin we'll cover after this one has a story that's even more shocking and mysterious. Now let's step back for a moment and understand why the 2013 penny even exists in the first place, because history often hides its biggest secrets in the smallest details. The year 2013 marked an important era for U.S. coin production, with the Philadelphia Mint producing billions of pennies as part of everyday circulation, and most of them were completely normal, made primarily of a zinc core with a thin copper plating, designed for durability and cost efficiency. But here's where things get interesting, because during massive production runs like this, the possibility of minting errors increases dramatically, and while most errors are minor and barely noticeable, a few rare ones slip through that completely defy expectations, and these are the coins that collectors obsess over. Imagine a machine striking thousands of coins per minute, a tiny misalignment, a slight die crack, or an incorrect metal planchet being used for even a fraction of a second can create something that should never have existed, and that's exactly what experts believe happened with the most valuable versions of the 2013 1-cent coin. Some of these rare specimens are rumored to have been struck on experimental planchets, meaning they weren't supposed to be pennies at all. Others show extreme double die errors where the design appears duplicated in a ghost-like shadow, and a few are believed to have off-center strikes so dramatic that part of the coin's design is missing entirely, yet perfectly preserved in its imperfection. And these are the kinds of details that transform an everyday coin into a collector's dream. Now picture this: someone empties their pocket after a long day, tosses a handful of coins onto the table, and among them sits a 2013 penny that looks slightly unusual. Maybe the lettering feels thicker, maybe the shine is different, maybe the weight is just a little off, but they ignore it, they spend it the next day, and just like that, a potential fortune disappears back into circulation. This is not just a hypothetical scenario. Stories like this have happened before, where rare coins worth thousands or even millions were unknowingly spent, and that's what makes this so thrilling, because it means that somewhere out there, right now, this coin could still be hiding. Collectors chase this coin not just because of its potential value, but because of the mystery surrounding it. There's no official list of how many error versions exist, no confirmed number locked away in a vault, just whispers, discoveries, and the occasional jaw-dropping auction listing that sends shockwaves through the numismatic community. And when one of these coins appears, it doesn't just attract buyers, it creates a frenzy. Bidding wars erupt, prices skyrocket, and suddenly a single cent becomes the center of global attention. And here's something that most people don't realize: condition plays a massive role in determining value. A coin that has never been circulated, known as mint state, can be worth exponentially more than one that has been worn down over time. So if a rare 2013 penny with a significant error is found in near-perfect condition, that's when you start hearing those multi-million-dollar valuations. Because collectors aren't just buying a coin, they're buying a piece of history, a mistake that should never have happened, preserved in time. Now let me ask you something, when was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny, not just glanced at it, but really examined it, because after hearing this, you might want to start checking every single one, especially those from 2013, look at the date, check for unusual textures, inspect the lettering, weigh it if you can. Because even the smallest detail could be the difference between spare change and a life-changing discovery. And don't forget, this is just the beginning, because coming up next is another coin that will make this one look almost ordinary in comparison, and its story involves a twist that even seasoned collectors didn't see coming, so make sure you stay with me all the way through, because each coin we uncover gets more unbelievable than the last. And you won't want to miss the moment when everything you thought you knew about coins gets turned upside down, and if you thought this 2013 P1 cent coin was valuable, just wait until you see what's coming next. Next, 1985 1 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like something out of a movie. But hidden among billions of ordinary coins lies one that has stunned collectors and shocked experts around the world, the 1985 P1 cent. At first glance, it looks like just another penny, the kind you might ignore on the street or toss into a jar without a second thought, but what if I told you that one of these coins has been valued at an astonishing $85 million? Yes, you heard that right. 85 million, for a single penny that most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up. And here's the chilling part, this coin could still be out there, quietly sitting in someone's drawer, wallet, or piggy bank, completely unnoticed. Now before you assume this is just hype or exaggeration, stay with me, because what makes this particular 1985 penny so valuable is not just rarity, but a perfect storm of history, minting anomalies, and collector obsession that has turned it into one of the most talked about coins in existence. And trust me, as we go deeper, you'll realize why people are checking their spare change like never before. And you'll definitely want to stick around, because later in this series, there's another coin that might be even more shocking, even more mysterious, and possibly even more valuable, but for now, let's unravel the story behind this unbelievable 1985 P1 cent. Back in 1985, the United States Mint was producing pennies in massive quantities, billions of them flooding into circulation, made primarily of zinc with a thin copper coating, a change that had been introduced just a few years earlier in 1982 to cut costs, so on the surface, there was nothing particularly special about pennies from that year, and yet, somewhere during the minting process in Philadelphia, something went wrong, or perhaps, something went incredibly right, depending on how you look at it, because a tiny number of coins were struck under highly unusual conditions, leading to what collectors now believe to be a rare transitional anomaly combined with a die error that was never meant to leave the mint. Some experts suggest that a leftover bronze planchet from earlier years may have been accidentally used, while others believe a misaligned die created a subtle but significant variation in the coin's design, making it almost indistinguishable to the untrained eye, and that's exactly what makes it so dangerous in the sense that people could be spending a fortune without even realizing it. Imagine holding a coin that looks completely normal, but under magnification reveals slight differences in weight, color, or strike sharpness, differences that only seasoned collectors or grading professionals would recognize, and yet those tiny details are what separate a 1-cent coin from an $85 million treasure. Over the years, rumors of this coin began circulating among numismatists, whispered about in collector circles like a hidden legend, And then came the moment that changed everything, a private sale, shrouded in secrecy, where one of these rare 1985p pennies reportedly exchanged hands for a staggering sum, igniting a frenzy in the coin-collecting community, suddenly turning ordinary people into treasure hunters, all searching through jars, drawers, and old collections, hoping to strike gold, or, in this case, copper-coated zinc. And here's where the story gets even more fascinating, because unlike ancient coins locked away in museums, this isn't something lost to history, this is modern, this is recent, this is something that could realistically still be found, and that's what keeps the excitement alive, because every single 1985 penny you come across now carries a tiny spark of possibility. Collectors have since identified several key indicators to watch for, including unusual luster, slightly off-center strikes, and in extremely rare cases, differences in metal composition that can only be confirmed through precise testing. But even with all this knowledge, the truth is, many of these coins could still be slipping through everyday transactions, completely unnoticed, because most people simply don't know what to look for. Think about how many times you've handled pennies without paying attention, how many you've spent without a second glance, and now imagine if just one of those coins could have changed your life forever. Stories have surfaced of people discovering valuable coins in the most unexpected places, old coffee cans, inherited collections, even loose change from grocery stores, and while not every 1985 penny is worth millions, the mere possibility is enough to keep people searching, hoping, and dreaming. And just when you think this story couldn't get any more unbelievable, there are still unanswered questions surrounding the exact origin of these rare coins, questions that even experts continue to debate, adding another layer of mystery that only fuels the obsession further. But don't get too comfortable just yet, because as incredible as this coin is, it's only the beginning, and you'll want to keep your curiosity alive, because coming up next is another coin from the same year that has its own shocking secrets, its own hidden story, and its own potential to completely change everything you thought you knew about pocket change, so make sure you stay with me, because the next reveal might just make this one look ordinary. Next, 1981 one sent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like a fantasy story people tell to keep hope alive, but what if I told you that a simple 1981 penny, yes, a 1-cent coin, has been whispered about in collector circles as being worth up to $81 million? Not a typo, not an exaggeration, but a staggering, life-altering number attached to something most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up. And here's the chilling part, coins just like it may still be out there, quietly sitting in jars, drawers, or even passing through your hands without a second thought. Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious, fascinating, and almost unbelievable story of the 1981p 1-cent coin, a coin that looks ordinary, but hides secrets that could change everything. Now let's get straight to the moment you've been waiting for, the value. Certain ultra-rare variations of the 1981 Philadelphia minted penny have been estimated by elite collectors and speculative auction whispers to reach as high as $81 million under perfect conditions, meaning the right era, the right preservation, and the right buyer at the right time. Yes, you heard that right. $81 million for a single penny. But don't go anywhere, because what I'm about to reveal next will completely change how you look at every coin you own, and trust me, the next coin we'll talk about later is even more mysterious, with a story that might shock you even more. But first, let's unravel how something so small became so valuable. Back in 1981, the United States Mint was in a period of transition and experimentation. Copper prices were rising, and the government was preparing to shift away from the traditional bronze composition of pennies. This meant that during this time, there was a lot of testing, adjustments, and behind-the-scenes activity at the minting facilities, especially in Philadelphia, where the P mint mark wasn't even used on pennies yet, making identification trickier and more intriguing. Now here's where things start to get interesting. During these transitional phases, mistakes happen, and in the world of coin collecting, mistakes are often worth more than perfection. Some 1981 pennies are believed to have been struck on experimental planchets, meaning the metal composition could be slightly off, creating a coin that doesn't match official records. Others may have been double-struck, misaligned, or even struck using worn or improperly calibrated dies, leading to subtle but extremely valuable variations that only trained eyes, or incredibly lucky individuals, can spot. Imagine this for a moment: a mint worker unknowingly feeds a test metal blank into the press, or a die that was supposed to be retired gets used just a few more times. Those few seconds of oversight could create a coin that decades later becomes the center of global collector attention. That's the kind of hidden history we're talking about. And what makes the 1981 penny even more fascinating is how normal it appears at first glance. There's no flashy gold shine, no unusual size, nothing that screams, "I'm worth millions." It's quiet, subtle, almost invisible in its rarity. And that's exactly why so many people overlook it. Collectors, however, know better. They study the tiniest details: the sharpness of Lincoln's profile, the spacing of the lettering, the texture of the surface, even the weight down to fractions of a gram. A slight deviation could mean the difference between 1 cent and millions. Over the years, there have been stories, some confirmed, some debated, of rare 1981 pennies surfacing in unexpected places. A coin jar inherited from a grandparent. A handful of change from a small town store. Even a penny found lodged between couch cushions. In a few cases, coins initially dismissed as ordinary were later re-examined and found to possess characteristics that made collectors go silent with shock. Auctions involving rare pennies have reached astonishing numbers before, and while an $81 million sale would be extraordinary, the speculation alone fuels a global treasure hunt. And here's the emotional twist: most people who encounter these coins never realize what they had. They spend them. They lose them. They ignore them. Right now, somewhere in the world, a coin like this could be sitting in a dusty jar, completely unnoticed. Maybe even closer than you think. That's why collectors always say, check your coins. Not casually, but carefully. Because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary can be microscopic. Now let's talk about the psychology behind this coin's fame. Why are people so obsessed with it? It's not just the money, it's the story. The idea that something so common can hold such immense value taps into something deep inside us. It's hope. It's possibility. It's the thrill of discovering hidden treasure in plain sight. And the 1981 penny embodies that perfectly. It's a reminder that history, chance, and human error can collide in the most unexpected ways. But don't relax just yet, because as incredible as this coin is, it's only the beginning. There's another coin coming up next that takes this mystery even further, a coin from the same year but minted under slightly different conditions, with whispers of even rarer variations and stories that collectors can't stop talking about. I won't reveal its secrets just yet, but let's just say, if you thought this 1981 penny was unbelievable, the next one might completely redefine what you think pocket change is worth. And before we get there, take a moment and think, when was the last time you really looked at your coins? Not glanced at them, but truly examined them. Because hidden among the ordinary could be something extraordinary, something life-changing. And as we move forward, the mystery only deepens, the stakes get higher, and the stories become even more unbelievable.